The greatest league in the world, after the Championship, of course, is back this weekend. The Premier League is back and, plenty of exciting new faces in the Premier League this season. Vincent Kompany's incredible Burnley side in the top flight. Once again, you've got Sheffield United making their return and Premier League new boys Luton Town making their Premier League debuts, as well as the big question, can anybody challenge Manchester City and take that Premier League crown from them? Well, today I'm going to be bringing you guys my prediction of the Premier League table from bottom to top. So let's get started.
As the Uruguayan curls one in. Oh, Middlesbrough take the lead!
At number 20, I've got Sheffield United. Now, I did have Luton as my bottom placed team, and let's be fair, I don't think that's a shock to a lot of people, but I have actually put Sheffield United in their place instead because they are having a bit of a shocker in the transfer window, and if things are to be believed, they're going to lose even more first team stars as well. Now, it is clear that Sheffield United are not in a great place financially, despite coming up and having all of the riches of promotion. They seem like they're needing to sell in order to buy. They've lost their star striker Iliam Ndiaye, a huge loss for them up front. One of what would have been their best chances, their best source of goals at this level. And as we know, a goal scorer is so key when you're trying to survive in the Premier League. And they might also be about to lose Sander Berge, who is linked currently with fellow Premier League promotion rivals Burnley, who have also, of course, just come up as champions. So, yeah, they are losing some real stars at the moment, and the fact they're having to lose them stars just so they can reinvest makes me think that their squad's not going to be particularly much stronger than it was last season. They've, of course, been linked with our very own Chuba Akpom. That's still very much in the air, although the sale of Sander Berge might be what helps fund the possible purchase of Chuba Akpom. They've also been linked with another player, I think it's Vinicius Souza, who I believe is, he might be playing for Espanyol at the moment, not 100% sure on where he is, but yeah, these are players that are only going to replace the quality that's left. They're not looking like they're going to be any stronger than they were before, and issues off the pitch are the last thing you want when you're getting promoted and your aim is to survive in the Premier League. So for me, I'm very concerned by Sheffield United. I don't know what's gone on there, but they, I think, are going to be making a very quick and swift return to the Championship. 19th, I've got Luton Town. Of course, this is nothing against Luton, and I'd like to think Luton fans will understand that a lot of people will have them in their bottom three. For me, I don't think it's a bad thing for Luton. I think, and I've got a bit of a theory around their recruitment so far, maybe what the aim of Luton Town is and their owners. And this isn't anything against Luton, but I think this could be very smart long term. It's been kind of said that they're recruiting a quote-unquote championship super team, and I can see that at the moment. They've, of course, got Ryan Giles in from Wolves, who, as we saw last season with Borough, is a fantastic championship left-back, and probably, along with Ryan Manning, the best left-back you can get at that level, but he's unproven in the Premier League. Tahith Chong, another fantastic championship player at Birmingham, not proven in the Premier League. Marvellous Nakamura, I wouldn't say proven that he was quite up to the standard while at Aston Villa, but has been signed by Luton in the Premier League. They've got Ogbene from Rotherham, again, very good at championship level, unproven in the Premier League. For me, there is a theme here for Luton, and it's not a bad theme, this. I think, potentially, they may have realistic expectations as a club that they're probably going to go down this year. And, you know, nothing against the fact that they've achieved this incredible thing, getting promoted, but maybe they recognise the step up this time around is just too big. And they're recruiting a side that will give them a chance of maybe staying up, but if it doesn't and they get relegated, they will have already a ready-made championship squad with top Championship players who are experienced in the league and know how to maybe get Luton out of it, instead of them doing what a lot of newly promoted sides do, which is splash the cash on big names from foreign countries who, as soon as they get relegated and go back down, leave the club because they have no interest in staying and no experience of the Championship, and suddenly that club is scrambling around using the parachute payments to try and muster a promotion push to bounce back to the Premier League. Luton could be doing this in the sense of building a Championship super team so that when they go down, if they go down, which is likely, let's be realistic, they can bounce straight back up. Plus, they'll have players who'll probably want to stay, will be comfortable staying, and they'll have the parachute payments to make that squad even stronger so that maybe they can get promoted in an even better position than they are now, so that in 3 seasons' time they'll be more comfortable in the Premier League if they can bounce back. It's a risk, there's no guarantee. If they do get relegated, they'll bounce back up, but for me, this is either really clever planning for the very long term, or it's really naive recruitment that's just going to get them relegated first time of asking. Regardless, looking at Luton's team right now, it's going to be incredibly tough for them to maintain their Premier League status this season. So for me, they'll go right back down and they'll be 19th. 18th, I've got Wolves. Yeah, this is maybe a shock, maybe it isn't, but Wolves look like they're in a bit of trouble as well, off the pitch as well as on it. They've lost some pretty decent stars. Ruben Neves, of course, went to Saudi Arabia. Raul Jimenez has left the club to go to Fulham. They've also lost the likes of Nathan Collins, who's went to Brentford. Some really, really good players that they've lost, and they've not really replaced them. They've brought in 2 players, Matheus Cunha from Atletico Madrid and Boubacar Traore, but other than that, a couple of free transfers. Matt Doherty doesn't really inspire, and there are rumours that their manager, Julian Lopetegui, is very unhappy, very unsettled with the lack of funds that he is being given or not being given to help Wolves stay in the league. And there's already rumours that I've seen emerge that they've already got a plan in place to potentially bring in Gary O'Neill if he leaves. And if they're planning on the potential replacement for a manager who seemingly is at the club and is seemingly taking them into the season, there's something very, very not right at Wolves, and I do worry that the off-the-pitch issues and the lack of decent recruitment is going to hinder them next season. So yeah, for me, I think it could be an unfortunate return to the Championship for Wolves. They've had a great run in the Premier League, but for me, I think they're really going to struggle this season. 17th, just staying up, I've got Bournemouth. The reason why is I feel like Bournemouth are undoubtedly going to take a step back. I think they did really well last season at Stoke, by the way, and as much as I'm not a Gary O'Neill fan because of certain things with Borough, he did a great job to keep them up, and they've made some decent signings. I mean, none of them with Premier League experience, so that's always a risk. They've lost Jefferson Lerma, who I think is I thought was a pretty decent player for Bournemouth. I think they've sort of replaced quality with quality. Maybe they've upgraded in a few places, but their squad, I still wouldn't say is going to guarantee them safety. And of course, they've got a brand new manager who is new to the Premier League, who has never managed before, with Andoni Iraola, I think it is. So yeah, I think there's doubts over the manager, but I think just because of Sheffield United and Luton being probably not quite strong enough, or more so Luton not being strong enough, Sheffield United and Wolves both just having seemingly a horrible time off the pitch, there's going to be 3 teams worse than Bournemouth, and that's probably what's going to keep them up. So I do feel like they're going to maybe take a step back from last season, but I still think they'll just about stay in the league. 16th, I've got Everton. Now, I don't have faith in Sean Dyche as a manager who can take Everton anywhere other than mid to lower mid-table for me. I just feel like he's got a ceiling as a manager, and he'll just do a good job keeping Everton in the league once again without taking them anywhere spectacular. Again, as I mentioned with the Bournemouth point, I feel like there's just going to be teams in worse positions than Everton this season, and once again, that might actually allow them to just about stay up, and they will do it by the skin of their teeth once again. How they keep staying up is beyond me, but they've gotten away with it twice, and I think they'll get away with it again. They've lost Yerry Mina, they've lost Moise Keane, who wasn't really a part of the team anyway, Tom Davies, Andros Townsend, Conor Cody have all left the club. And they've brought in Arnott Danjuma, who is okay, I guess. Maybe a little unproven, but, could do a job for them. And Ashley Young isn't really an inspiring signing. So I wouldn't say their squad is any stronger than it was last season, which only indicates that they'll be there or thereabouts in the same position. I just feel like Everton will do what they've done in the last few seasons, and that is do just enough to stay up, and they'll be around 16th. 15th, and this is where I think a lot of the teams are kind of in similar positions. A lot of them can maybe rotate and swap around. I don't think there's going to be much between these teams and 11th, but I have got Burnley in 15th. I know there was a lot of hype when Burnley come up that maybe they would do a Fulham, do a Brentford, do a Brighton, well, not a Brighton, but a Brentford or a Fulham, and first time of asking, just look comfortable, stay clear of any real danger, and would comfortably be mid-table, maybe even top half. I'm not getting that carried away. I was very impressed with Burnley last season, don't get me wrong, and I think they are up there with one of the greatest championship sides we've ever seen. But you can never, ever underestimate the leap and the step up to the Premier League. But I do think they'll stay up, and I do think they'll stay up comfortably. They've made some okay signings, I would say, but I feel like regardless of the signings they make, the recruitment that Burnley have and the coaching from Company, I think will just bring in any player. And I think they'll be coached so well, the system will work really well. They'll be a fluent working machine, and I think they'll do enough to stay up. Maybe I'm doing them a little bit of a disservice. Maybe they will get 14th, 13th, 12th, 11th, but it's going to be so tight, I think, between 11th and the middle of the bottom end of the table. So I think they'll stay up, though. That's the main thing. Maybe they'll flirt with trouble once or twice, but I think Burnley will stay in the Premier League. 14th, I've got Nottingham Forest. I do think Nottingham Forest will stay up a little more comfortably than they did last season. I think they proved last season, at home especially, they can pick up some useful points. I think Steve Cooper is a manager who I think has proven he can do it at Premier League level. And I think without them taking a giant step forward, I do think they will maintain their Premier League status. They are having to tighten their belts, I believe, a little bit to coincide with FFP. They spent a lot of money last season, had a lot of players coming in. It was a little bit ridiculous, but I feel like Cooper's got more of a handle on his squad now, more of a handle on who his best players are, his best team, and they've still made some additions with Chris Wood coming in and Alanga from United, but I think it'll be another steady season for Nottingham Forest, and they'll just stay clear of trouble, a bit like Burnley might be in trouble once or twice, but again, we'll just about stay clear of relegation, and we'll finish in a rather comfortable position. 13th, now I've got West Ham, and the more I think about this, the more I think this could be completely wrong, because there's a lot of negativity coming out of West Ham right now, and given the fact they've just won the Conference League, which, well, is it an achievement, is it not? You tell me. They are being very, very quiet in the transfer market and are yet to sign anyone, which is astonishing given the fact that they've got 25 million for Scamacca and 105 million was it for Declan Rice, and none of that money's been reinvested. I don't know if they're waiting for something to happen, they've got targets lined up or whatever, but the fact West Ham haven't recruited is a worry and maybe indicates that not all is well off the pitch. However, the quality that's still within the squad, I believe, is still and should still be good enough. Rice is a loss, yes, but I don't think it's going to, or it shouldn't, cause West Ham to be dragged into a relegation battle, in my opinion. And if they do, then David Moyes has done a pretty bad job. So, assuming he can do a solid job, as he has done for the majority of his time as West Ham manager, they should finish, I'd say, mid to lower, mid-table, bottom half. But there's a lot of noise coming out of the club right now that makes me worry they could end up in a bit of trouble if they're not careful. 12th, I've got Crystal Palace. Not much to say on Palace. Losing Zaha's a big loss, obviously, but I just feel like Roy Hodgson is such a safe pair of hands, and Crystal Palace scream 12th, 13th to me every season. Never going to be in that much trouble, never going to quite compete with the top half or the European positions. I just feel like it's going to be a steady season for Crystal Palace. Not much has happened in terms of transfers in and out. Nothing else to say about Palace. They'll do a solid job. Hodgson will do a solid job, and they'll finish in their usual position, just below mid-table. 11th, I've got Fulham. There was a part of me worried that last season, maybe there's a bit of second season syndrome with Fulham and they might drop like a stone this season, but I just don't want to underestimate them given the wonderful job that Marco Silva did last season. And, they've brought in Calvin Bassey from Ajax. It's a signing I really like. Raul Jimenez, maybe he can do a job. There's obviously question marks over Mitrovic. But, yeah, I think Fulham can near enough replicate what they did last season. I don't think there's any reason why they couldn't, unless something goes drastically wrong. But even if it does, I still feel like the lowest they might drop is 12th, 13th, 14th. I don't think they'll be embroiled in a relegation battle, but I don't think they've quite improved enough to take a step up the table. So that's why I'm sort of keeping them in and around where they were last season, dropping slightly. But yeah, I've got Fulham to finish in a steady P11. 10th, I've got Brentford. Never underestimate Brentford. They just do a great job with tremendous recruitment and a very good coach. And Thomas Frank, I think, will once again guide them to a very, very good top half finish. You just cannot underestimate or undervalue what a club and how well run it is and how well managed it is. It's the envy of the majority of English football and maybe even beyond English football. Brentford are just an unbelievably well-run club that give me no worries whatsoever that they'll ever be in trouble. It doesn't matter if they recruit and spend 100 million or they spend 20 million. It doesn't matter to me. I have faith that they'll recruit well, and I have faith that they'll just get the job done. And that's why, once again, I've got them to have a very good finish. Let's not deny, 10th is another tremendous season for Brentford. Now in 9th, I've got Tottenham. This maybe is a little low, and Tottenham fans are probably not going to be very happy with this, but I don't know. I'm not 100% sure how it's going to go under Ange Postecoglou, and I'm always sceptical of managers who have only managed and been successful in the Scottish Premiership, because for me, it's a ridiculously overrated league. Even if it is overrated, I just feel like there's a lot more that you need to be when you get to the Premier League than just someone who walks the floor or wipes the floor in Scotland. It's a step up, and there's been good signs from his Tottenham side that they do play pretty good football, and to be fair, if he gets a handle on it, there could be a dark horse, Tottenham. Every chance they could, but based off of last season, I feel like you just can't get too excited about Tottenham. I think defensively there's always going to be question marks. And, they've recruited quite well. James Maddison is a signing I'm particularly quite happy with. And it's good to see that Kulusevski has made his loan signing permanent and has joined from Juventus. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like they're going to be relying on Harry Kane a lot once again. I think he'll stay. I think that they've rejected another bid from Bayern, and I just can't see why how they're going to sell him or why they're going to sell him. I think they should. That's a topic for another video, but I think they should sell Kane because they're going to lose him on a free to a Premier League rival in a year's time, which for me just seems worse than taking the money now and reinvesting it. But anyway, if Kane stays, there's always a chance that Tottenham could climb into a European position. If there's any doubt over his future, that may or may not creep in to the on-the-field issues. I think Kane's always been incredibly professional and has dealt with any off-field noise very well and still, delivered the goods for Tottenham. But, I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of question marks, a lot of unknowns about Tottenham at the minute. And I am not ever getting my hopes up because it's Tottenham. So that's why I've got them in 9th. In 8th, I've got Brighton, another wonderfully well-run and well-coached club. Maybe they can take an even bigger step this season, Brighton, and I might have done them a little disservice putting them down in 8th. I feel like the reason for that is clubs that were below them will improve a little bit, and that's why they're sort of just in and around the same position, but down to 8th. They've made some decent signings. Again, a bit like Brentford, I have full faith in anything that Brighton do. But, I think losing McAllister could be a blow. Obviously, they've lost their goalkeeper, Sanchez. Don't know how much of a blow that may or may not be. But still, I think De Zerbi will once again just deliver at Brighton. They'll be a fantastic side who will undoubtedly get top half. I just question whether they can take the big step forward that other clubs probably can, given the fact they've maybe got a little bit more money to spend and slightly better resources. But hey, 8th for Brighton is still a tremendous result, and of course they might have to juggle European football as well, which is always something worth considering. In 7th, I've got Chelsea. Obviously, they had a horrendous season last year, and there has been a ginormous squad turnover at Stamford Bridge. You've got Kante, Azpilicueta, Aubameyang, Fofana, Mendy, Pulisic, Koulibaly, Kovacic, Mount, Havertz, all leaving, and they've brought in a ton of players too. But that for me, as much as they've gotten a lot of that ridiculously oversaturated squad off the books, again, lots of change, a lot of new players still, and again, it will probably take time to gel at Chelsea. The reason why I've got them to improve on last season is Pochettino. I don't think he's proven quite enough in Premier League football that he's going to do anything remarkable this season, but he should be good enough to get Chelsea moving in the right direction, and this might be the first year of a quote-unquote project, as much as I hate that football cliche. I think that's what Chelsea need. I think they've had, a long time of having really quick success and short-term success, but I think this is maybe the time that they bed in these young players and have Pochettino take them on a journey over a long period of time, and it might not happen overnight. It might take a little bit of time, and that's why I don't think Chelsea are going to just propel themselves back into the top four at the first time of asking. I think there's still going to be a bit of a transition and a bit of a bedding in period for a lot of the new players, but they'll improve under Poch, and that's why I've got them in 7th. Into the top 6, and in 6th I've got Aston Villa. Slightly bold prediction maybe, because they have got European football to juggle, which obviously is a different proposition with you needing additional squad depth, and it does make your job a lot harder, but I feel like they've recruited well. I think Moza Diaby's a good signing. I like the fact they've brought in Yuri Tillemans. I think Pau Torres is also a very good signing. I just think that Villa just nail the recruitment every season. They always have money to invest, maybe a little bit more than the teams like the Brightons and Brentfords, the teams who maybe want to break into the same sort of area that Villa. I feel Villa just have that little bit more in their back pocket. And they've got Unai Emery, who has proven that this is the sort of squad that I think he thrives under. Maybe Arsenal, a squad that big with that kind of expectation was a little bit much, but he's proven at Sevilla especially that, a club that's just teetering on the edge of Champions League and challenging at the top, he's really good at maximising the potential out of these kind of clubs, and I think him and Villa are a match made in heaven. I don't know how they'll do in Europe this year, but I feel like they'll maintain their position in the Premier League, and that's why I've backed them to get 6th here next season. In 5th, I've got Newcastle United. This is is it a bad prediction? Is it going to get me in the bad books of Newcastle fans? Maybe I already am, because I'm a Borough fan. But yeah, I think Newcastle will take a slight step back this season. I think it's only due to one team, being the team I have in 4th, having a better season and beating them to the top 4 this time round. And, of course, Champions League football, which is a huge, huge accomplishment, but, of course, brings a whole new challenge. They've signed really well. I love the Tonali signing. I think Barnes is a great signing as well. So, they've added quality. Is it going to add the depth that I think Newcastle need? I still think their bench is a little weaker than maybe they would like it to be. So I just feel like they're going to just struggle a little bit more, fighting on more than just one front. But still, 5th position is still an unbelievable finish, especially when juggling Champions League football. Some people might even have them to fall back a little bit further. So I think as a Borough fan, Newcastle fans should be pretty happy that I've got them as high as 5th. In 4th, I've got Liverpool. Yeah, I'm not sold that Liverpool are going to challenge for the title or do anything that spectacular this season. I feel like the golden period under Klopp has passed. I think they're maybe not on a decline, but they had a dip last season and they're just flatlining a bit for me at the minute. They've lost some key players who obviously have been around a long time, and maybe it is time to move these older players on. Of course, Milner, Keita, Firmino, Henderson, Fabinho have all left. But they've not brought in that many players either. McAllister is a great buy. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the guy's name from Leipzig. But again, have they improved the overall quality of the team? Not sure. I'm just not sold that this Liverpool team is that much better than what they had last season overall. They were on track to recover their poor start to get 4th, but I don't think they'll go any further than that. I think the top 3 are just a little bit further ahead, and Liverpool needs to do a little bit more in the market for me to convince me that they're going to return to being the Liverpool of old and challenge for the title. So that's why I've got them to achieve what they just couldn't quite achieve last season, and that's top 4. In 3rd, I've got Manchester United. I feel like the top 3 is going to be a lot closer this season. I don't think it's going to be the top 2 separate running away with it in a sense. I think United are going to be up there, Are they going to challenge for the title? Maybe. I think the top three, especially second and third, could really jostle for position this season. So I think United will take a step forward, albeit maybe not the giant leap they need to be a title winner, but I'd like to see them in the mix. I think Onana's a good signing. Obviously, they've replaced him with De Gea. I think it's something that needed to be done. The Mount signing is one. I think the jury's out for me. We'll see how he gets on. And Rasmus Højlund, who knows how he will adapt from Atalanta. I think it's one of them where he comes with a big price tag. He could rip the league up and repay his price tag instantly, or he could struggle and really falter under the expectation and the weight of the price tag that he was bought for. I don't quite know how that one's going to go, but I do think they'll challenge for the top two. I do think they'll be in the mix a little bit more than they were last season, but I just think they still have a little way to go to break into the top two. Second then, and this will of course answer who I think will be champions next season. Who do I think is going to win the title? Do I think Arsenal are going to challenge and get the job done next season? No, I don't. I've got Arsenal to finish second once again. I actually think Arsenal have recruited really well, and it's quite exciting that they've put this much money into the squad. It shows they're really going to go for it this season, and I'm glad they are, because I feel like they're in a position to really have a go once again, and they've proven last season they can match City for the majority of the season. They just obviously dropped off at the end when they seemed to falter, I think, at the finish line, the sight of the finish line. I think the lack of experience fighting for a title definitely got to them, and even the season before, when they were fighting for top four, they bottled it as well. So I think for me, Arsenal have all the qualities that are needed to win the title, other than experience, other than composure, to actually close it out. I think Rice is a great signing. Havertz, we'll see. But they already had a more than good enough squad, I think, to replicate and go again like they did last season. I think they'll challenge City once again. There's no reason why they can't. And I am very excited by this Arsenal side with the addition of Rice. But the question is, can they match City across 38 games? Do they have the relentlessness that City have? Do they have the composure to get over the line at the very end? If they are ahead, are City even going to let them get that far ahead once again? I'm not sure. I feel like City are going to be a lot more aware of Arsenal this season, and that's why they'll challenge, but I don't think they'll beat City to the title, and I've got them finishing once again in second. Which of course reveals my title winners. Is it a boring choice? Maybe, but I think there is no one who can touch Manchester City at the moment. Their squad is already ridiculous. I think, yes, Gundogan is a loss. Mahrez, maybe. But the signing of Gvardiol is an interesting one, a very exciting one. I think Kovacic is a slightly underrated signing, if I'm honest. But I just trust that whoever is coached under Pep is just going to turn into an absolute world-class player, and he just does it every season. There is no reason to doubt Pep Guardiola. There's no reason to doubt his team's sheer tenacity and determination and relentlessness to just go again and be just ruthless with how they go about their business. They will once again be the best team in the league. They will once again be the bar that teams are going to be scrounging to try and beat. And unless they just have a disastrous season, which I just cannot see for the life of me, they'll be there again to take another title. And I feel like as long as Pep Guardiola is there, and they have the likes of Erling Haaland and the likes, it's going to take a monstrous task to beat this Manchester City side over a full season. And that's why I've maybe gone with the safe choice, but I do think Man City will win another Premier League title. So guys, there's my Premier League predictions for this season. Do let me know what yours are in the comment section below. And if you want to see me do any other Premier League content, do let me know. I do obviously regular content on the Championship, as I have a more than vested interest in that league. But I do enjoy and watch a lot of Premier League football as well. So if there's anything you'd like to see me do relating to that, do let me know in the comment section below. But as well as that, hit the like button to support the channel and the video out, and subscribe for more if you're interested, and hit the bell too so you never miss an upload. But until next time guys, take care. A huge thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time.